This video is sponsored by 4Wheeling for Less. If you're in the game for an ATV or UTV, you need to check these guys out. They buy, sell, and trade off-road vehicles. And after talking with these guys, you're not going to find a more pleasant team to deal with. These guys are top-notch in their industry. And their parts room, can you believe it? Stacked to the ceiling with anything you're ever going to need for your ATV or UTV needs. Also, these guys got financing available. They also have warranties available. So did you ever buy an ATV or UTV, bring it home, only to have problems right after you got it? Not here. They're going to fix it and they're going to take care of it, and no money under their warranty plan. This should be your only stop for your ATV or UTV needs. If you're ever looking to play in the dirt, play in the mud like us baseball players, you're going to want to check these guys out. The contact information is in the description, so make sure you check out 4Wheeling for Less. Welcome back to the House of Baseball. I'm Coach Shrek. I'm here today with Tyler to go over the 10 pitching mechanics to increase your velocity. With Tyler here, we're going to talk about breathing exercises as being our number one thing. When you're coming up to the mound and you just get the call to take the pitch, what you're going to do is you're going to want to relax yourself. So in this state, we want to breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth, holding it for about a second. So you would like, that'll relax you, get you calmed down, get you ready to go on to the next pitch or coming onto the field for that inning. That being said, you have to know your situation. This would be number two, knowing your situation. So how many base runners do we have? You know, do we got a guy at first? Do we got a guy at second and third? What's our situation? Where are we going with this ball once it's delivered? We need to know those things before we can continue on. So we're going to move on to some really solid pitching mechanics with Tyler here and get it going. The third thing that we need to look at is arm angle. So we need to know what kind of position. Are you a sidearm thrower, or do you throw 3/4, or do you throw straight over the top? So your body angle has a lot to do with where your arm slot is. So you need to have the proper body angle to make that adjustment in whatever slot you are actually throwing it. So Tyler, if he's throwing in a sidearm fashion, we don't want to get our fingers underneath the ball. We want to get it more at the side. So when you're coming through, you're actually delivering and not putting a lot of stress on the elbow and wrist in the delivery. So like when he is going to deliver the 3/4 angle, he's actually going to keep his body centered, okay, up and down. So when you're delivering, it's more of an upright throw than if you're leaning one way or the other. Now, if he's going straight 12-6 with his throw straight over the top, his lean is going to be way outside to give his arm that slot to deliver the pitch. So we always got to bear in mind where our arm slot is and what position our body has to be in for those angles. So the second kind of thing that we're going to talk about within the arm angle is actually being within a 45 degree when you're loading. So when you're loading your arm out of the position, coming into the load, 45 to 90, you want to be within that angle. If you're not within the 45 to 90 angle, you're outside, you're causing issues, major stresses on the arms. You want to keep that load in tight so that you can deliver with more velocity. With Tyler, we're looking at his arm angle, his position of laying his arm back through the throw so he can pull his shoulder through slightly before the elbow comes with the lean back of his arm. So with that motion, you're actually loading up to unload the pitch in the proper angle in which he wants to deliver this ball and where he wants that ball to end up at the plate. So in that whole thought process is with those angles. So you want to make sure that you focus on that and make sure you get that down to a science. The next thing that we need to demonstrate is actually number 5. And number 5 is the lower body. loading the lower body. So what we want to do here is we want to, after we've come to our position and we're setting back on this back leg, we want to set down on that back leg to get that proper angle to push off to deliver the pitch. When we do that, as if you were jumping, okay? You're jumping in this situation, you're not going to jump with your legs straight, you're going to bend them and then leap. So that's going to give you force to get off the ground, that's going to give you force with your pitch towards the plate if you transfer it correctly through the body. So with that, he's going to set back on that leg, and then his leg kick comes up, and his foot is actually loose, okay? It's not tight. We're not making that stiff. He's keeping that loose with his rotation in. And with his leg stop at the bottom, that is the direct transfer back up through. At that point, he's going to snap his hip into this. And we're going to talk about the hip-shoulder separation. That's going to be number 6. So number 6 right now is probably the most important part of generating velocity. It's a hip and shoulder separation. And what we mean by that is when this front leg lands, your plant leg lands, right? Now we're going to throw this back hip in to the pitch to transfer that energy from our legs into our hips. And when we do that, we're coiling our top. So when we coil our top, we're actually creating that twist motion that's going to help us to unload all that energy that we produced from our legs up into our pitch. Okay, so when we do that, when he hits his plant leg, he's kicking this hip in, keeping his shoulders back within that pitch. Now when he does that, he wants to deliver on his angle with his arm. His knee is not over his toes, it's behind that. And then his hip and shoulder separation helps with his delivery and his velocity. Okay, that would bring us to number 7. So number 7 is the front leg plant. When that foot hits the ground, we don't want to have our knee continue to move forward over our toes or continue to move at all. We want it to remain stationary. That's transferring the energy. Once it stops, the energy has to move up, right? It has to move up into our hips, up into our shoulders, up into our arm, and deliver the pitch. So when that front leg hits, it could be behind your ankle, right? Or it could be right up to your ankle, but we don't want it to cascade past that point, go out over our toes, or actually move after it plants. We want it to be stationary so it transfers that energy properly. Now we're going to move on to number 8. Number 8 is loading and exploding, right? So this is tying in what we've learned about the lower half of our body, the lower part and the upper part, and putting that all together within the pitch. So this is more of a timing factor with how your leg kick corresponds with your hips, corresponds with your arms, corresponds with your shoulders, and actually delivering the pitch. So in those forms, he would have a total solid pitch together. So Tyler's going to demonstrate the throw. So with that, he's pulling everything together. So all the power from the ground that he's generating from him dipping into it is directly related to his arm angles, directly related to his hip and shoulder separations, everything to deliver the pitch. At that point, you're going to increase your velocity tenfold. So number 9, this is where we're going to finish our pitch. Okay, this is where we're going to try to pick that penny off the ground, bending into our pitch and delivering it finally. So after the ball has been delivered, you must continue with the follow through. So Tyler's going to demonstrate a follow through with that. And at the end here, you'll see as he finishes down, he's going to then, which will be number 10, is become a fielder. Okay? You're a pitcher only until the ball has been delivered. At that point, after it's been delivered, you now become a fielder. So you have to be ready in your fielding stance to receive the ball. If it's hit straight back at him, he's going to be prepared to catch this ball and make a play. And that's where we want to be. So I appreciate everything with you. These are 10 of the most important steps into having more velocity and the mechanics in pitching. I appreciate you coming to me, and always remember, respect the game.